Good evening, finance experts. So, today we're going to be talking about mutual funds. So, for my mutual funds, I chose two funds from the domestic market. One was GMO Emerging Domestic Opportunities, the other one is Vanguard Real Estate Index Admiral. So, I basically compared the load, expenses, turnover, managers, and how long the managers have been there. So, as you can see, GMO does have a load. It didn't say whether it was front end or back end, but their load is zero point 0.8. They have an expenses of 1% and an extremely high turnover of 201%. So they've only had two managers, but they are fairly recent managers. So they've both been managing the fund since 2011. And Vanguard, which is the one that I went with, doesn't have any load. They have a lower expenses ratio of 0.12%, and they also have a significantly lower turnover, which means that people aren't selling their funds and pulling their money out in the short term. So they have had one more, manager. They've had three managers as opposed to the two, but it's an older fund, and the one, Gerard C. O'Reilly, has been managing it since 1996. So he's been over it for a while, which is a good sign. He knows what he's doing. He's very familiar with the fund. So that's something to take into account. Walter Nenjman has been managing since 2016, which is it's only been like 2 years. And George Sauter, so he'd managed it from 1996 to 2006. So that's about 10 years. So that's a good sign. So even the person that's finished managing the fund has been managing it longer than both of these people for GMO. So that's why I chose a Vanguard Real Estate Index as my favorite fund out of the domestic, or the two domestic ones that I picked. So for my sector fund, I went with BlackRock Technology Opportunities Fund and Red Oak Technology Select. So I chose Red Oak Technology Select. They have no load. Their expenses are 0.96%. Their turnover is 16%, which is significantly lower than BlackRock Technology Opportunities of 51%. And you can see that BlackRock has had more managers. So this is all the managers that BlackRock has had. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 managers that actually haven't been, managing it for too long. The most recent manager has been managing since 2013. And so the most recent managers for Red Oak, Mark Olschlager has been managing since 2006, and Jeffrey Travis has been managing it since 2005. So those are both like current managers. So they've been managing it for a solid amount of time. So all of that, coupled with the low turnover comparison and lower expenses, is why I chose Red Oak Technology Select as my favorite mutual fund out of these two. And then for my international, I went with Schwab International Index and Oppenheimer International Diversified. So for their loads, neither one of them have a load, which is fine. Their expenses, well, it's fine if, people don't pull their money out quickly. But for their expenses, Oppenheimer does have a higher expenses ratio, and they also have a higher turnover. It's not high, but it is higher than Schwab. But Schwab has had about 10 managers over the fund since 2001, and the most recent ones all started in 2017, which isn't something that you want to see when you're investing in a mutual fund. You want to know that whoever's been managing it is, confident in their abilities and they've been managing it for a while. And Oppenheimer has had the same manager since 2005. So just for that reason, I kind of went with Oppenheimer International because, like I said, the manager is a big deal when you're dealing with these mutual funds. And the turnover rate, like I said, isn't super high, but it is higher than Schwab. And their expenses, again, aren't terribly high, but they're still higher than Schwab. So for that reason, I kind of just went with Oppenheimer out of both of those mutual funds. So that's all, and thank you for watching.